Hi, and welcome to Geeks for Geeks. Today is the day 3 of Geeks Olympics, and today we would be talking about programming languages so that we can bridge the gap between education and employment. So, before we start off, let me introduce myself. I'm Siddharth Hazra. Currently, I'm an SD at Geeks for Geeks. Besides that, talking about my programming, I'm a candidate master at Code Forces. Fair enough. So, before we start the session, I would like to make an exciting announcement. We will be giving away some coupons for one of the most demanded and liked courses at Geeks for Geeks towards the end of the video. So, stay tuned till the end. As the name of the course is Complete Interview Preparation. So, for those who don't know what this is all about, let me just present the tab itself. So this is the homepage of Geeks Olympics. So you need to register yourself, and it would happen from July 1 to 31st of July of this year. And there are different ways of stream that you can explore. Let's just explore the first one because that seemed interesting to me. What you need to basically do is you just need to explain your insightful approach in the POTD section. POTD section is nothing but the problem of the day. Basically everyone has their own problem each day, like the lead code has a problem of the day. In the same manner, Geeks for Geeks also has the problem of the day. This is how it looks, something like this. Let's go to practice, and if you just go to this tab, if you click on POTD, you would see that you have something like problem of the day where you can just find it. So there are also something known as streaks, this time machine, which has been introduced in the recent terms. And this is what is complete interview preparation. So we would talk about that. But before that, I would just do what was mentioned. So I would just stop the screen sharing. Hi Pawan, hi Rashika, hi Shubhadeep. Thank you so much, bro. Okay, fair enough. So first we would be talking about the importance of programming languages. So primarily there are three programming languages, okay, for doing DSA. Now, why just DSA? Why not development at first? This is because, let me just share my screen instead. Mhm. I think it is good to go. Hi, Raghuram. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. It should be visible. So I would just start a new page. Yep, this looks fine. Okay. So the very first, suppose you are preparing for a technical job. Let's say you are preparing yourself for an SD, that is software development engineer. The very first one is that you would be setting for an online assessment. At this point, you would be giving your resume to the HR, or you would be getting a referral. After that point of time, if you're lucky enough and your skills are good enough, you would be getting the link for the online assessment. Okay. In the online assessment, majority of the companies, I can say to be specific, 99% of the companies do ask DSA questions at this point. Okay. Most of the times it consists of around 3 to 5 DSA questions which you need to solve. Okay, in a given time frame. The major time frame is around 2 to 3 hours. So that is why the very first gateway starts from DSA. So you need to focus a lot on this DSA part. Now for doing DSA, we have major three options, that is C++, Java, and Python. There are other languages too which people consider for doing DSA, but primarily these are the most considered ones. Okay. Now there are different pros and different cons of different language. Okay. So let's first talk about the execution time. Okay. If I talk about the execution time, like which code would run fast, let's say I just write a code of something like this. Let's just do this. So let's just say Okay, let's just say I do something like int n and then I do c in n and then I do n is equals to n multiplied by 3 and then I just do a simple output of n itself. So if I give it 7, the received output would be 21 because it gets multiplied by 3. Okay, so it's running and this is 21. Now, the very first question is why does execution time really matter? See, most of the times, this online assessment won't happen in your local editor. I have never came across a assessment which takes in a local editor. Either you would be sitting in your classroom and giving it, or either it is completely online. The very next thing is that the online judge is designed in such a manner. This is, let's say, the online judge. You submit your code to the editor and then you click on that submit button. The code goes to the backend servers and that server performs how many operation? 1 multiplied by 10 to the power 8 operation. So I don't know if you know this E or not. So 10 to the power 8 operation. It is designed in such a manner. Okay, in 1 second it would perform 10 to the power 8 operation. Okay, so now that is why, and this is fixed. Okay, this is fixed. That is why the execution time matters a lot. Okay, so let's talk about the execution time at this point. क्यों matter करता है at this point? Just let me brief you about in Hindi. So as होता ये है कि जब ऑनलाइन जज पे आप सबमिट करते हो उस पॉइंट ऑफ टाइम पे अगर आपने कोड सी प्लस प्लस जावा या पाइथन लिखा है तो उसकी एग्जीक्यूशन टाइम इसलिए मैटर करती है क्योंकि लेट्स से आपने सेम कोड सी प्लस प्लस में लिखा, सेम कोड जावा में लिखा, सेम कोड पाइथन में लिखा. दैट इज टू टेक अ नंबर n and to multiply it by 3 and give the output. Okay, so if I do the same code, okay, if I run the same code in C++, Java and Python, okay, C++ would be the fastest, Python would be the slowest, and Python would be the slowest, and Java would come in between C++ and Python. If I talk about the metric, not just the comparison, then Python is 4x times slower than C++. If this is taking 1 second, then this would take 4 seconds in Python. Okay, but but people have found a way to combat this. That is why Python still exists in the market. Otherwise, सब C++ से ही code करते. Okay, but ऐसा नहीं है. People still use Python to do DSA problems, and the people are good enough, good in numbers. They are not minority in numbers. They are good in numbers. Okay, now the machine is designed in such a way that if it receives a request of a Python language, it would allow 4x the time. If it receives a request of C++ language, it would allow 1/4 of the time that was allowed for Python. And the same thing happens for Java also. That comes in between. But the problem is many a times this this thing is not done properly. Okay. Ab now now you would say, Siddharth, you are telling that this is done. Again, you are telling this is not done properly. This is because if you just search this small term out there on the internet, that same code running on same code giving AC on C++, but TLE on Python. Okay, you would see many people complaining about this. See, you would see many blogs about this. You would see many people complaining about this. This is because many a times this is not done properly out there on the compiler. This is why, this is why, if you are a person who wants to select a language and then move forward to study DSA, then you should select C++. Okay, why? Because it has a faster execution time. The very first reason is it has a faster execution time. The very next one is the huge support of STL. अब STL क्या है? STL is a library which can be used to solve DSA problems. जैसे simply sort करना है, so you don't need to write the whole code for merge sort. You can simply use sort, and the sorting would be done by that. Okay, so that's it. Yep. The very next thing is that, let's say, like you would say, sir हम sorting merge sort का पूरा कोड लिख के भी तो कर सकते हैं. ओके, एल्स हम लोग एक बार सॉर्टिंग का लिख के रख दिए हैं, हम लोग उसी को कॉपी पेस्ट करके चला लेते हैं. ओके, दिस माइट हैपन, बट इट वोंट हैपन इन द लास्ट फेज ऑफ योर रिक्रूटमेंट. होता ये है कि जब ऑनलाइन असेसमेंट होता है, मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम्स यू आर नॉट अलाउड टू कॉपी पेस्ट द कोड इन दैट एडिटर. Okay, so even if you have a pre-written library of your own, you can't directly copy paste on that. So consider using a language which has the inbuilt functionality, so that you are not dependent on the copy pasting thing of your own libraries or on your own function. This is the very first important thing. So now, ab, who are all the folks who should use some language other than C++? Okay, so let's say now there exist two. Now let me just do the screen mirroring. Just a sec. So am I clear till this point? Give me a quick one. I have learned DSA. I have learned DSA and also have proceeded to learn. Should I start? I have learned Java and also proceeded to DSA. Should I start learning C++? If you are at the very early stage of your DSA, consider switching to C++. Why I am so much talking about C++ because I code in C++? It's not that. Okay, I am a person who belongs from an ICSE background. I was taught Java. I started off with Java. Then I found out that in Java, you need to write a hell lot more. Like to do simple output, you do need to do system.out.println. Instead of that, you can simply do cout, and that would be done. Okay, so you this is just a small comparison why this needs to be done. Like to write hash map, you need to write hash map, insert, and that. But to do the same thing in C++, you just need to do map or unordered map. Okay, set, unordered set, multi-set. These are different data structures that are already available out there on the internet. Okay, so now the very next thing is, who are all the people who should consider learning not C++, but Java and Python? Okay, just let me add it to the stream, and this should move forward. So now see, so there are two kind of programmers that you might fall into. The very first one is a self-taught programmer. Okay, what do you mean by self-taught? Like he is learning by himself. Okay, he is dependent on the materials out there on the internet, or he has bought a course of his own. He doesn't have anyone to give him guidance or something. The very next one is, you already have a group of friends, like you have some peer folks. Okay, peer folks to help you. Okay, let's say you belong from the tier 1 or tier 2 college, and or your roommates do DSA and they do with Python. Okay, so at that point of time, you should consider learning and moving forward with Python, but make sure कि वो first year वाली दोस्ती fourth year तक रहे. Okay, and if you are a self-taught programmer who is dependent on the things out there on the internet, consider learning about C++. At least know the syntax of C++, so that you can comprehend the things that are taught. Why? Because the tutorials out there on the internet, the video editorials, most of the time, I won't say every time, most of the time, it is done in C++. And like I can say 70% of the community out there uses C++ as their primary language to code in DSA. So suppose you are trying to find a simplified version of your code, then finding an implementation in Python would be a little bit difficult compared to in C++. So majorly अर्थात इसका ये समझा जा सकता है कि अगर आप सी प्लस प्लस से करोगे तो वीडियो एडिटोरियल्स दूसरे के सॉल्यूशंस और आपको ज्यादा आउट सपोर्ट मिलेगा इंटरनेट से। अगर आप पाइथन और जावा से कर रहे हो तो आपको एक्सटर्नल सपोर्ट की जरूरत पड़ेगी। At this point of time, many educators out there consider explaining their solution in all the three languages, but still it is not every time. So that is why consider at least understanding the basics of C++. Then after that, after you learn the basic syntax of C++, what do you include by basic syntax of C++? The very first one is that you should learn about input output. Okay, that is C in, C out, system.out.println, buffer reader, scanner class. You should learn about this. I just talked about Java and C++. And the very next thing is you should learn about conditional statement. Conditional statement is nothing but a fancy word to make you understand that you need to learn about if else and switch case. Okay, और कुछ नहीं है. Conditional statement is nothing but a fancy word to tell you that if else or switch case पढ़ लेना. Okay, after that you need the basic understanding of loops. Okay, what all loops should be very important at this point. You can just focus on for loop and while loop. Okay, there are some more loops also. For each loop, do while loop, you won't require at this point of time. Knowing the syntax, for knowing the syntax, these two loops are more than enough to start off. And the very next thing is you should also learn about basic sorting algorithms. Like the very simple ones are bubble sort and selection sort. And then as you move forward, you can also learn about bucket sort, counting sort, merge sort, quick sort, and these all sorting. And learn about the basic searching technique, that is searching. Learn about basic searching technique like linear search and binary search. Linear and binary. Learn the basic syntax of this. Consider taking a screenshot at this point so that you remember these all things. After knowing the basic of a language and these all things, you are good enough to go out there on the internet and start learning something new. Okay, so am I clear till this point? Just give me a quick one, and that would be enough to move forward. Okay, can CIP help us in placement for tier 3 college? Okay, so I belong from a college which is less than equal to tier 3. That is Netaji Subhash Engineering College, and that CIP helped me to get placements. If you see, I am already enrolled in this course. So let me just show you. So see, I'm already enrolled in this course. Okay, so fair enough. So very much clear, sir, bro. Okay, thanks a lot, thanks a lot. So at the end, I would be giving you a coupon of a whooping discount. Okay, for CIP. Make sure you remain till the end so that you can grab and take the, like, it would be a fastest finger first thing. Okay, you need to take the fastest one. Okay, fair enough. I'm clear till this point. Now let us move forward from this. Okay. Okay, at this point, you would only require these all things, that is linear, bubble, and there exist some more ideas too, but at this point, you don't really require that. Now, you need to go out there and you need to learn about something known as arrays. Something known as arrays. After you learn arrays, you also need to solve problems like reverse an array, find the element in the array, majority element. So you should also learn about prefix sum and all. And gradually you need to complete DSA in this fashion. I would focus a little bit more on this DSA part. But now, at this point, at this era of recession, by only doing DSA, you won't be able to combat and get a very good placement. You need to do something other than DSA too. And what are those? So, you also need to do something known as development. Okay. So, at this point, if you already have a background with Java, or if you're already interested in some tech stack, let's say you already have a background with Java, then consider learning about Java backend. If you don't have interest in a specific segment of technology, else you can also take up technologies like web dev or specifically backend development or front-end development or app development or machine learning. Okay, and there are some more like other data structures also. So you need to learn about these all things too. So pick whichever you want. Let's say I picked up front end because everyone in their class 10th has already learned HTML. CSS can be learned in 2 or 3 days. So HTML, CSS, JavaScript, I think most of you know. Okay, like many of my student tells me that I know front end technologies like HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Okay, at this point. So now you are a DSA person and you know HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. So how to move forward in that scenario? Let's say DSA आपने बहुत अच्छा से किया, okay, and then you had an interest in something different. Let's say you invested your time in exploring your college life, you invested your time in doing CP, you invested your time in doing something else rather than development or making projects. So at this point you only know HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So let's take a scenario over that. Okay, so you know HTML, CSS, JavaScript. So just know the basics of APIs, like what is get, post, these all things. And then you can use a API out there on the internet and integrate it in your project. Now, don't don't do this. Okay, don't include clones. Clones and all are very good. Okay, they help you to learn a lot, but they give a glimpse to the recruiter that you might have copied from somewhere. So at this point, make something unique because up as a first year student, you already know that cloning cloning projects are out there, cloning projects tutorials are out there on the internet. So how can you expect a recruiter who has at least more than 5 years of experience to not know this? Okay, so if I just search clones, there would be hundreds of videos. So make something unique. Don't try to fool the recruiter because he's much more smarter than a first year or a fourth year guy. Okay, to make something unique. So what I did, what I did, like this is just an example to show you. I did was I used two things. I made a Rubik cube solver by using something known as star algorithm. So I learned about an algorithm which is known as star algorithm, and then I made a project on that. Okay, and the very next was by using this one. Just search something like this is just an example to show you Codeforce's API project. So these are okay. Codeforce's API and what to do, you can just see for yourself. I won't do it this deep. You can just use this API and directly integrate in your projects. And the knowledge of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript would be enough to just move forward. These are the two things that I did, and this was just a glimpse to show you that yes, by just knowing the basics of development, and by doing a good amount of DSA, you can get a very decent placement. Now, if you are a deaf person, okay, and you are a little bit low on DSA and you are very interested in the development thing. So consider doing open source, because open source adds a validation that yes, you have did something on your own. You know what is PR, you know how to raise a PR, you know the importance of screenshots in a PR, and that would be very much visible and it won't give a glimpse that you don't know anything. Rather, it would be very glorifying. And try GSOC and all. And if you are a person who is into very much DSA, try ACM, ICPC, and all things. Okay, DSA plus development. So in this era of recession, consider balancing between development and DSA. Okay, and it's very fine to understand, and it's very understood that you can't really have a balanced picture. You would have a interest more interest in either of that. So if you are a dev person, your goal is to track GSOC and do open source. If you are a competitive programming or DSA person or a competitive programming person, your goal should be to become getting a title of something like expert or specialist and cracking ACM ICPC too. Okay, which is the best for development? Web development by Java or MERN? So web development by Java, backend development by Java is very much still relevant in the market. It is very much needed. MERN, like MERN is still used in the market. Like the new folks are using MERN, but still just do at which you are happy. Okay, at which whatever gives you peace, do it. Now, the very next thing is that there are some other things rather than just TSA and development. The other things are that you need to be also good with something like CS fundamentals. So, if you are a person who is not from CS or IT background, like your branch is not CS or IT, consider knowing this. So, which development is good, app or web? Both are good. Okay, what is Get Hired Premium, which is provided for CIP course? We would talk about that. Okay, so at this point, you also need to know fundamentals of CS fundamentals. The very first one is learning the concepts of OOPS. What is OOPS? Object Oriented Programming. The concepts like objects, class, inheritance, these all things, encapsulation with proper real life example. Okay, if you know oops with proper real life example and you can implement a simple, let's say a car system, then you are good to go. Okay, then you also need to know computer networks, you also need to know DBMS. If you are going to be a backend developer, consider knowing DBMS in depth. What is DBMS? Database management system. Consider knowing about what is the difference between non-SQL and non-SQL. Be a very good player in writing SQL queries. Do we need computer network operating system for interviews? So computer network operating system are very much needed for interviews. But at this point, if you have completed these all things before third year, consider learning about LLD, that is low level design. It gives you a edge in every, or I can say most of the interviews. You would get an edge that you already know LLD, you already know CS fundamentals, you're already good with DSA. So consider knowing about these all things. Now the very next thing is, let's talk about the what you would get in this interview preparation, but under the hood, like what is out there in the course content, because I myself has already enrolled. Okay, so the very first one is, so yep, this is good. Yep, this is good enough. Okay, The very first one is that you can select the language of C++ or Java. Both the languages are already given. You start from the introduction, variables and operators, and then you move forward to C++, OOPS, structure and union, array strings, flowchart diagram, and Java also. Java, OOPS, flow control, and these all things. And the very next one is DSA, what, why, and how. Basically, you at this point you know what is DSA, what is the need of DSA. For those of you who don't know what is DSA, DSA is nothing but data structures and algorithms, which is a very important thing out there still. So then we talk about analysis of algorithm. So we talk about time complexity and space complexity. We talk about the different time complexity like theta, omega, and big O. Then we also talk about the space complexity, what it is all about. And then we talk about arrays. And if you just see the arrays, what all you should learn in arrays, this is already given in a predefined manner. These are the videos that are out there. These are the problems that you need to practice. These are the quiz that you need to attain, and these are the articles that you need to read. So you are also given a quiz, you are also given practice problems, you are also given videos, you are also given articles. So if you start off with arrays, then you can see the video. After seeing the video, you can read the article so that you have a better understanding of the video. Then have some quiz to get an understanding that you are able to comprehend on your own or not. And then you can move forward to solving some problems out there. So basically, it is recommended that you solve all the problems that is given, and you would be very much done with array on just this platform. You don't need to go out somewhere, ask people that what are the resources, what are the practice problems, where are the videos. You don't need to ask and wander around. At this point, you also see something like recursion. Then we see about hashing. So in hashing, we also have the DSA concepts too, like what is direct access table, hashing function, collision handling, open addressing, chaining, these all algorithms. Then we also have the problems, then we have the quiz, then we have the articles too at this point. Now, after this point, we come across the linked list, circular linked list. So we start off from arrays. Okay, we start off from arrays in DSA. And in language, we start off from the very small thing like variables. Okay, and then we move till the end of something like heap. Okay, so I have a question. Is algorithm necessary for DSA? ये बढ़िया question है. Okay, so let's just answer this at this point. Okay, so what is basically an algorithm? Algorithm is a way to solve a problem. Okay, एक तरीके जिस तरीके से हम लोग प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करते हैं वो तरीके को ही हम लोग एल्गोरिदम कहते हैं. Okay, so now DSA is made up of two parts. The very first one is data structures, and the very next one is algorithms. Okay, so data structures and algorithms. What is data structure? Data structure is like your sword. An algorithm is like the technique in which you attack. Okay, so even if you have the sword but you don't know how to fight, that would be a problem. So even if you have all the data structure different, what is basically data structure? The data structures are basically containers. Containers क्या होगा? उसका simple सा explanation. They are just vessels out there in the kitchen. Okay, containers को आप as a vessel भी imagine कर सकते हो. आपके पास हर तरीके का वेसल है बट आपको खाना बनाने का तरीका ही नहीं पता, तो वेसल यूजलेस हो जाएगा. आपको खाना बनाने का तरीका पता है बट आपके पास वेसल्स ही नहीं है. सो दे बोथ आर डिपेंडेंट ऑन ईच अदर. ओके, आइदर आप खाना बनाने का तरीका, आइदर आपका वेसल, दोनों कोई काम का नहीं है, अलग अलग. दोनों वेसल और खाना बनाने का तरीका दोनों जब साथ में आता है तभी आप खाना बना पाओगे. ओके, GFG articles are best. So at this point, I would just say you a small story. When I started off, I used to see a lot of video, and when I got into problem solving, I was not able to solve even a single problem. I don't know how many of you have faced this, but I faced it a lot, to be honest. Okay. So then I found out that I am not a video person. Rather, I am a person who is very inclined towards textual base. So after that point of time, I brought many books like Cracking the Coding Interview, then CPH4, Competitive Programmers Handbook. Then I read a lot of articles, Code Forces blogs. These all help a lot in my preparation. Okay, then I like, to be honest, I still don't. I'm not dependent on videos. So Rup, Ruposhri, Ruposhri De, do I make sense to you? Can you give me a quick yes or no? Okay, GFG content is also provided, and the content in the course is really amazing. Okay, so we have a person who knows this as CP course. Good, even I enrolled one of the course like CP course. Okay, yeah, I remember. He congratulated me in LinkedIn. I fairly remember you. So DP is more important in placement. Earlier, it was not that scenario. Even if you don't know DP, you would get a decent placement in a service-based companies. But now, when the competition is getting really tough, even the service-based companies are considering asking DP questions. Okay, even TCS and QT has DP problems in it. So at least till DP, you need to complete. Basically, don't say DP. DP is nothing but optimized recursion is known as DP. So if you know recursion, then you are able to optimize it, and that is DP. So don't think about DP as something very difficult. Is knowledge of system design for a fresher when going for a tech interview? If you are very good with your DSA and development, and you want to add an icing to your cake of preparation, consider learning about system design too. That would give you a very good edge. Like, I heard a lot that you are very good, but if I find someone better than you, I would hire him. This is the scenario in most of the interviews. So that you are the best among all the candidates appearing out there, try to learn LLD if you're good enough with DSA development and simple. Okay, how to prepare DP and graph questions for SDE. So graph questions are a little bit easy to tackle. Okay, why? Because graph questions can be easily found out. अगर graph weighted है, okay, I would just tell you the whole scenario of this. जल्दी जल्दी लिख लेना. So basically, if we are talking about graphs, see, there are two different hacks for graphs as well as for DP. Let's talk about DP. Okay, let's talk about first DP. Okay, yep. Let's talk about DP in general. So, in DP, we have a set of standard questions. Okay, just do a Google and you would find. Else, you can also Google for CSES problem set, and GFG also has the standard problems of graph. And 90% of the problems out there of dynamic programming are a variation of these all. Okay, like let's take an example. Like let's say you know the simple idea of knapsack DP. Then you can also take up the problem of coin change problem. Coin change problem is a variation of knapsack DP. Okay, and there are some special problems that you should practice at this point. Solve all the set of standard problems in CSES and GFG, and then also give at coder DP contest. It has 26 problems that are variations of different DP problems, and 90% of the problems of dynamic programming would be a variations of those. ओके, सो एक सेट ऑफ प्रॉब्लम्स है, उन्हें अच्छे से समझ के अच्छे से सॉल्व कर लो. बाकी सारे प्रॉब्लम्स को उनसे रिलेट करके सॉल्व कर दो। हो गया डायनामिक प्रोग्रामिंग। लेट्स टॉक अबाउट ग्राफ्स। Graphs are a little bit like you need to remember more and you need to practice a little bit less. Okay, like सबसे पहला क्या segment आता है? The first segment is shortest path. Now, there are different shortest path techniques. The very first one is single source shortest path. The very first one is single source shortest path. Then there is multi source shortest path. And it is very easy. अगर एक पॉइंट से निकालना दैट इज सिंगल सोर्स, अगर मल्टीपल पॉइंट्स दैट इज मल्टी सोर्स. फॉर सिंगल सोर्स, if the graph is unweighted, we have something like BFS. If for multi source, we can use something like what? Can anyone tell me? Floyd Warshall. Okay, we can use something like Floyd Warshall. Then we also have Dijkstra. Then we have something like Bellman Ford. Okay, so you can learn about this. And the very next one is, if it is not shortest path, it would be traversal, and it would be dependent on something like what? The different things like BFS, DFS, connected components, articulation point. So basically, you need to know all the different terminologies of the graph, and then you just need to detect what the question is asking, and you already have a terminology. Just use that and solve it. ग्राफ में आपको ज्यादा चीजें पता रहना चाहिए, so that you just get the objective of a graph question and solve it using that. सबके लिए एक एल्गोरिदम है रखा हुआ. The number of algorithms is the maximum in the arena of graph. Learn all those algorithms, practice problems, see a problem, get the objective, use that algorithm and solve it. Graph के problems are very easy to detect. DP problems are very difficult to detect. That is why you need to solve a lot of standard problems so that you are able to relate that yes, this problem is a variation of this particular problem and इसको solve करना है. अर्थात हिंदी में ये समझा जाए तो डीपी को डिटेक्ट करना हार्ड है, इसीलिए बहुत सारे प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करो और बाकी सारे प्रॉब्लम्स को पुराने प्रॉब्लम से रिलेट करो. ग्राफ हार्ड नहीं है, उसमें याद करना ज्यादा पड़ता है. तो सारे एल्गोरिदम्स याद रखो, उसकी अच्छी प्रैक्टिस रखो, नया क्वेश्चन देखो, उसका ऑब्जेक्टिव समझो, वो एल्गोरिदम यूज करो, उसे सॉल्व कर दो. ओके, सो एम आई क्लियर टिल दिस पॉइंट? गिव मी अ क्विक यस और नो. You are most welcome, Pranjal Barnawal. Sir, how did you revise the topics when the interviews are just the next day? So basically, when my interview is just the next day, I don't revise every concept. I first find out that yes, this problem XYZ company ask a lot of questions from trees and graphs. So I would just revise trees and graphs to be specific. मतलब I would do a priority based revision. मैं trees और graphs को पूरा revise करूंगा और बाकी सारे data structures को overview से revise करूंगा. Okay, this is a small hack that you can implement to do that. By the way, sir मत बुलाओ, उतना भी बुरा नहीं हूं मैं. Okay, sometimes we know the solution but not the relevant answer. So if you know the solution but not the relevant answer, this just means that you are low on practice. Okay, so now at this point, promised, as promised, I am going to give away 50% of coupons for complete interview preparation, and this will be applicable for the top 5 people who purchase the coupon after the launch, and it would be active just for 60 minutes, and it is going to be valid for the first 5 people who purchase this course. I will be giving the code after this, so don't go anywhere. So the coupon is the coupon is this one. just consider buying it right now. Okay, this is the coupon for you getting 50% off on CIP, and only 5 people would be eligible. So just quickly hurry up. This is your chance to get the best of the deals at GFG. Top 5 people can get the course at a 50% discount. Grab your courses while the offers last. Is TOC important for an interview? Okay. So would just everyone has any doubts regarding this coupon or something? This coupon is not working, whatever the scenario, just quickly tell me. Just quickly tell me. Sir, is TOC in theory of constraint? Sir, is TOC important for interview? What do you mean by TOC? I'm a working professional. Do I also need to make a notes of DSA in a notebook as we used to do in college? I have prepared enough DSA, but I'm not going whether I can solve the same problem the next week. To be honest, yes, you should just write down the basic concepts and the basic new algorithms that you can. Not working, sir. This is not working. Can you quickly confirm that this should basically work? Just quickly confirm. Why not 100% discount? So this is not the one I decide. This is the Geeks for Geeks administration who decide why not 100%. Okay. So just tell me if this is working or not. Okay. So I would just see it for myself if I can use up this code or not. It's showing no such coupon exists. No such coupon exists. So 0LCIP 50. Just quickly check it again. Just quickly check it again by using this. This should work. So I would just quickly confirm it has been claimed or it has not been claimed. And just quickly confirm Tarushi and others. Okay, so you can just okay. So I think it has been exhausted. Like 5 people have already bought it. That is why this is not working at this point. So that was it for today. There are more such events that would happen each day from 1st to 31st of July. So all the best for Geeks Olympics. Thank you and have a nice day. Goodbye, everyone. So if you are a person who is watching the stream in the recorded version, feel free to like and comment on the video so that this work could be justified. Thank you and have a nice day.